Salve deviatores, and welcome back to Let's Translate Phaedrus' Fables. I am going through a selection of fables by the Roman Phaedrus and translating the Latin to English. Not into poetry like how the Latin is, because it's in iambic hexameter, but I am just translating it as prose, because poetry is not my strong suit. Here are all the fables that we have translated thus far, and the ones we will translate. Today, De Volpe et Uva, on the fox and the grape. De Volpe et Uva, on the fox and the grape. Fame coacta vulpes alta in Venea uam appetebat sumis saliens, technically, saliens veribus. Fame is from fames, which means hunger. And this is the ablative form, so I guess maybe more so by hunger. Coacta is from the perfect passive participle coactus, which is formed from gogo, which means forced or compelled. So compelled, and it's agreeing in gender, number, and case with fame. It is ablative, singular, feminine. So it's, I guess, technically, kinda, sorta? No, it's not agreeing in gender, number, and case. I mean, it technically can be agreeing in gender, number, and case with fame, but it's really describing vulpes. And vulpes is a fox. Vulpes also looks plural, and it can be plural, but it could also be singular, nominative singular. It's a third declension noun, so the nominative singular could be whatever, but the plural nominative ends in es. So nominative, singular, and plural look the exact same. Alta is an adjective from altus, which means high. And it's, of course, in the feminine, because in Venea, but in means in or on, at least when it's taking the ablative case, which Venea means a vine, and it is in the ablative. I mean, technically it could also be in the nominative, but we've already got a nominative, so it's ablative. Ablative singular specifically. So, yeah, alta really is modifying Venea. Uam is the accusative singular from uva, which means a grape. Appetebat is the third person singular imperfect active indicative from appeto, which means to strive for or reach for, or even to like crave or covet. But I'm gonna say, well, I guess just trying to get, maybe desiring, let's say craving, honestly. Imperfect, so was craving. Sumis is from sumus, which is an adjective. Specifically, it is the superlative of superos, which means high or great, but the superlative would be highest or greatest or most. So let's say most. Saliens is the present active participle from salio, which means to leap or spring up. So let's say, honestly, let's just say jumping. And being a participle, it's kind of describing vulpes. So it's like the fox is jumping. And veribus. Veribus is the dative or ablative plural from vis, which means power. So power. And of course, sumis is also dative ablative plural from sumus. So let's put this all into the correct word order for English. How about a fox was craving a grape, or I guess maybe a fox compelled by hunger. Which, is that actually an ablative absolute? I mean, it is kind of separate from the rest of the sentence. Compelled by hunger, a fox. Yeah, a fox when compelled by hunger? Yeah, I think that's an ablative absolute. Did I mark that in my original notes? I did not, but I kind of think it is. Because ablative absolute is just, it's just a noun with a participle, both in the ablative, kind of describing the circumstances of the main action in the sentence, and grammatically it's separate from the rest of the sentence. So yeah, this is an ablative absolute. So in fact, I would really just erase the arrow, the modifying arrow, and just have it be the ablative absolute, since it's technically absolute from the rest of the sentence. So a fox, compelled by hunger, was craving a grape. Saliens jumping with the most power. Like, was really using all its power to jump up to try to get the grape. Oh, wait, I forgot. Alta in Winea. A grape on a high vine. There we go. Quam tangere ut non potuit discedens ait. Quam could either be a relative pronoun, specifically the feminine accusative singular from qui, but it is not a pronoun here. It is an adverb. And honestly, I think it's a kind of rare meaning for the adverb quam. Because oftentimes quam is used either like in what way, in such a way, or in comparison, so like as or than. But here, I think it's rather than. Wiktionary does list this as a rarer definition, and I think it works. Tangere is the infinitive, the present active infinitive from tango, which means to touch or to reach or attain. So to, I guess, reach? Let's say reach. Ut can mean a couple different things depending on the mood of the verb it's working with. Either indicative for a statement of fact, or subjunctive for something a little less defined. And potuit is indicative. So it is being used more as a comparison. So as, non, not, potuit is the perfect active indicative, third person singular, from possum. He was able. Discedens is another present active participle, this time from discedo, which means to leave or depart. So let's say leaving, and it's in the nominative case, so it's describing vulpes still as kind of the subject. Ait, just like inquit, it is a common verb of speaking. Most often you will see it in the third person singular present active indicative, or even perfect active indicative, considering it's the same form of the same verb. The first principal part is io, so the first person singular present active indicative, io. But ait just means to say, similar to inquit or dico, dicere, dicet. So said, and better word order, rather than quam. I guess really it's more so reaching rather than reaching, as he was not able to. Leaving, he said. Well, I guess you could say he or just it, really, because we don't know the gender of this fox. Nondum matura est. nolo accerbam sumere. Nondum is an adverb meaning not yet. Just not yet. Which, yeah, non dum. Dum could be while or yet, so not yet. Matura, it ought to be pretty clear to English speakers. We get the word mature from that. And est is third person singular present active indicative from the verb sum, to be. So it is not yet mature. Nolo means I do not want or wish. It is the negative form of volo, which means I do want. Accerbam is an adjective, accusative singular form of acerbos, which means bitter or sour. I'm going to go with bitter. Sumere, infinitive form, just the present active infinitive from sumo, which sumo can mean to take or obtain, select, and thus choose. So probably, yeah, I'll say take, because I think I do not want to take essentially a bitter one, or a bitter berry or grape. So, the fox is wanting a grape, is hungry, and it tries to get a grape from a vine that's a little too high for it to jump and reach. So, rather than actually getting it, because the fox wasn't able to, and actually I said he here, let's just say it there, it just says to itself, really, the fruit's not mature. So, and I don't want a bitter grape. I mean, who would? I don't know how anyone likes bitter tastes. Qui facere, quae non possunt verbis elevant. I think ascribere hoc debebunt exemplum sibi. I'm not completely sure about the relative clause brackets, but we'll see as we go. So qui, I already said relative pronoun with quam, so this is just the nominative. Who. Facere is the present active infinitive form of facio, which means to do or make. I'm going to say do. Quae, another relative clause right here with quae, which not possunt, are not able. Third person plural, present active indicative, from possum. Verbis is either the dative or ablative plural from verbum, which means a word. So like with words. Elevant, nothing to do with elephants, even though does it have anything to do with elevation? Yep, from elevo, which means to raise or elevate, or even alleviate or lessen. I think, let's say, alleviate. Yeah, let's put this together first. He who, qui, elevant, alleviates verbis with words. Oh, okay. Yep, now I've got it. So that infinitive is not part of the main relative clause, but in the kind of mid-relative clause, the relative clause. So, he who alleviates with words that which, or not just he, but those, because it's plural. Because qui can be the masculine plural nominative. So those who alleviate with words that which they are not able to do. Ascribere is from ascribo, which means to ascribe. It could also be like to add in writing or insert. But I'm going to go with ascribe, or even appoint, but that doesn't sound quite right. Ascribe. Hoc is the accusative singular form from hic. Hic, haec, hoc. Either that or it's neuter. It might be neuter, actually. I don't remember what the nominative of exemplum is, but it could be either the masculine or neuter accusative singular from hic, haec, hoc, the pronoun, which means this. Debebunt is the third person, plural, future, bu, active, know who you are, indicative. It's from debeo, which means to, like, you should. So they, wait, how do you, will have to? Because it's like to be bound to that, like, you should do that. I guess should can kind of be a sense of future anyway, but I want to make it very obvious that it's future. So let's do will have to. Exemplum, basically if it's second declension neuter, or it's neuter, okay. Neuter verb masculine, and it's neuter, so the nominative is exemplum, which means the accusative is also exemplum, but we already have a plural subject with our verb, and this is singular, so it has to be the accusative. And it means an example. Sibi, dative case for the reflexive pronoun for oneself. So those who alleviate with words that which they are not able to do should or will have to ascribere, ascribe, I guess, to themselves this example. Yeah, either that or ascribe this example for themselves. Which also is kind of weird that Sibi is singular, yet the qui, the people who are doing this, is plural. Why is Sibi not plural? Can Sibi be singular and plural? Yeah, that's exactly it. Sibi is also plural. It's the same form for both. So to themselves, or for themselves, or to themselves. I'm gonna do ascribe to themselves this example. That's what I'm gonna go with. So yeah, the I don't know exactly what the moral's supposed to be. 'Cause is it that it's a good thing to make an excuse for when you're not able to do something? That you I guess so. Those who alleviate with words that which they are not able to do will have to or should ascribe to themselves this example. I think that's what he's saying. Like, hey, if you're not able to do something and you want to alleviate that pain or disappointment that you're not able to do that thing, just follow the fox's example and just make up an excuse for it. That's obviously something that a lot of people do, where if something's not possible to be done, they'll just make up an excuse. Even if it doesn't really make much sense, they'll just tell themselves that, yeah, it wasn't something that really needed to be done anyway. That really should have been done. I didn't want it anyway. And I guess Phaedrus thinks that that's a good thing, and that at least helps with, I guess, coping with the inability to do something or to get something. Interesting. But now that we've done with the translating, I do want to bring up, so not last time, with the fable Lupus Arcanum, the wolf to the dog, I brought up how there were major differences between the text on the website The Latin Library and on the website Perseus Tufts, both heavily used by Latin students. But the text, there's a pretty significant difference in the text with both of them. One of them, like, even a whole sentence was in a completely different place. Here, as you should be able to see we have one, they do things differently, where Perseus Tufts will make V's V's, but Latin Library will keep them U's, which kind of makes it harder to read sometimes. But also, they use different versions of words. So we had apetabat, but another form of it is adpetabat. Both are used, both are valid spellings, but just two different versions of the same text use a different spelling. Same with ascrebere and adscrebere. I think there was one more. Oh, the big one that I kind of really like. Non dum matura es rather than non dum matura est. It changes slightly what's happening. So this is, of course, the Fox speaking, and in the Perseus Tufts version, which is what we used, it is not yet mature. But in the Latin Library version, it is you are not yet mature. The fox speaking directly to the grape for whatever reason. It's not that big a difference, and it essentially does the same thing, but I think it's enough of a difference that whether the fox is speaking just kind of generally or directly to the inanimate object is an interesting difference that, with enough of those, would constitute a whole different story. And just like in Lupus Arcanum, I want to know which manuscripts each of these websites are using. I want to know the sources of these. I want to see all of the differences in the original medieval manuscripts that copied down Phaedrus's work. But I know I probably will not be able to see them, because it's very hard to find, at least online. I'm sure somebody out there knows where the different manuscripts used by these websites is located, but probably isn't not digitized. But anyway, after that little side tangent of textual differences, let's go ahead and end this off with a Latin reading and an English reading. Fame coacta, vulpes alta in Vinea uam apetabat sumi saliens veribus, quam tangere ut non potuit, discedens ait, non dum matera est, nolo acerbam sumere, qui facere quae non possunt verbis elevant, ascrebere hoc debebunt exemplum sibi. A fox, compelled by hunger, was craving a grape on a high vine, jumping with the most power. Rather than reaching as it was not able to, leaving, it said, "It is not yet mature. I do not want to take a bitter grape." Those who alleviate with words that which they are not able to do will have to ascribe to themselves this example. If you've made it this far in the video, then thank you very much for watching. A nice, short fable for this time. And man, I really like seeing the differences between these different texts of the same text. It's really interesting to see how big the differences can you get, because really, non dum matera es, non dum matera est, changing the verb, the person of the verb, can make a world of a difference. And if you're still listening, let me know what other textual differences you have seen of this sort, like reading the same thing just with different copies of a text from, I guess, different sources, and the biggest differences you see in those, because it's really fun to see. But next time, we're going to have a big battle. Like, literally, the fable is about a battle. So, until next time, remember to spay and neuter your pets. Et valete, weadores.